Stop using your astrology against yourself and stop using it as an excuse.
Oof.
It's not there for that.
Oof.
It's not there for that. That's not what it's here
Don't
for.
get me started. On the show today, an absolute powerhouse goddess, Natalia Benson. She's an astrologer and money mentor living in Southern California. By fusing the spiritual world with practical tools for empowerment, Natalia has helped thousands of students make meaningful choices and significant changes in their lives. She specializes particularly in money mentorship, digital course creation, and online monetization rooted in astrology, personal finance, and spiritual wellness. Natalia has been quoted and featured in Women's Health, InStyle, Well+Good, and Yahoo Finance. And her mission is to equip women with the power to create life on their own terms, thanks to the unique fusing of financial awareness, astrology, and spirituality. She is currently training and practicing to become a medium. This conversation is going to be absolute fire. Natalia, I am so excited to have you here and for these listeners to get to experience you and your energy and your wisdom today. We are so gifted, so blessed. So thank you for showing up here today.
Oh, it's a privilege. And I just adore you so much. And I'm honored. I'm really excited for our conversation, babe.
Yay. Okay. Well, before we start getting into all the fun things, tell everybody here who you are, what you do, all of your magnanimous gifts that are so vast, so we can understand who they're listening to.
Yeah, so I'll keep it short and sweet, but essentially, my name is Natalia Benson. I live in Laguna Beach. So my official title, I would say, is I'm an astrologer. I've been studying astrologer since I was 22, 23 years old. I'm about to turn 38, so that's a minute. I think that's like a child with a driver's license. The amount of time I've been studying astrology, I love it so much. I also am a money mentor for spiritual women. I'm a medium. So these are just some of my titles, but really at the core of who I am, it's like I'm a seeker of connection. And I'm a creator. So whatever form that wants to take in whatever era of life I'm in, I'm learning to be adaptive. But essentially, I am just obsessed with cultivating connection, not just with other people, but most of all, supporting my women to connect with themselves and trust themselves. And money just happens to be a medium that I utilize. Mediumship is a medium that I utilize, and astrology. And all of the ways that I teach are really rooted in self-empowerment, that you have the answers and I'm reminding you what you know, or I'm waking something up in you, but that essentially you have the sovereignty. A little down to earth thingy doodles. I have a dog named Taro.
That's so down to earth.
So down to earth. I'm obsessed with tarot, actually. Tarot, not only my dog, but tarot itself. I've been reading tarot for a long time. And yeah, I live near the ocean. I'm semi-obsessed with clothes. I love getting dressed. I've been like that since I was really little. So I love beauty and aesthetics, and I'm really into home decor. So a very multifaceted little being having a big experience here on Earth, essentially.
Yes. And I'm so grateful that you're bringing all of that here today. It's really interesting. A couple of things that you said, some keywords that stood out to me. You said connection, you said self-empowerment, you talked about the power, if you will, being within, and sovereignty. And I never think of those words when I think of money. Money, I think most women or most people, humans in general, is something that is outside of us, outside of ourselves. It's, something that we have to perform something for in order to receive.
Yes.
And I love that you are kind of shifting, not kind of, but totally transforming and shifting this paradigm around the way that we think about money and how we then position ourselves to receive it.
Yes.
And I want to hear more about that.
Well, I'll tell you something kind of crazy. So I teach natal chart astrology. So sometimes I'll talk about, for anyone who's interested or maybe loves astrology, sometimes I'll talk about like what's known as mundane astrology, like what's going on in the sky. I think that helps us. Of course, it gives context to our life experience and things going on in the world. But my like absolute love is natal chart astrology. And guess what? Everybody has a natal chart. If you're born on this earth and you're hearing these words, you have a moment that you incarnated and you have a coinciding birth chart. And that's what an astrologer is trained and studied to read for you. Well, guess what? In that chart is your blueprint about how you relate to money. And here's the kicker. My second house of money is essentially what I call, it's a term that I teach, traversed by the sign Pisces. Pisces is the ultimate like spiritualist, creative. So ask me when I was 16 years old, if I was like, so do you think that in like 18, 20 years, you're going to have a money membership rooted in spirituality for women all over the world? And I'd be like, I think there's something here. Like, I was just, no, I didn't think that whatsoever. I was never involved in any of this stuff, especially when I was younger. Money terrified me, confused me. But here's what's fascinating. As I've learned just mostly about myself and what I'm drawn to, which is essentially what your natal chart is an embodiment of, I saw that I was here to integrate spirituality and finances. And guess what? It's freaking illustrated in my chart. It's hilarious. And that's why I love to teach this stuff, because I like to cultivate a soft approach to money. Because when I was younger, my dad, who is now passed, he was a CPA, CFO. He's a Scorpio. This man was as left brain as it got when it came to money. He used to always say, call me babe. He'd be like, babe, I'm a numbers person. He would say that all the time. That was his identity. He was a numbers person. And then my mom was like corporate America. So when I didn't get how to balance my checkbook, they were like, is a screw loose? Like, it was genuinely confusing. And sadly, that's how most women feel, especially I'd say, I grew up here in America, but I think in our culture, it's kind of like, yeah, if you don't get it, you just don't get it. And yet there's a way for more creative, spiritual, let's say women, a lot of women, mostly women are drawn to my work. There's a way for us to approach finance that doesn't feel so overwhelming, and it can be sexy and fun and cute and astrological. And that's what I teach.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I will be super honest to say that I do not feel great about money.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of money stories that I need to work through, that I've been working through, but I still have a long way to go. And so I never think of money as sexy and fun and cute. I wish I did. I did.
I'm going to help you.
Yeah. So for those who are listening, who are probably very similar to me, my struggle is always around receiving money that I don't have to struggle for, or that I don't have to, right? And trading money for time, I feel, is really common. I hear that a lot. Mm-hmm. And really just keeping it.
Yes.
And there's so much story wrapped up in that, right? Around where that comes from and what that means. Some of it is trauma. Some of it is upbringing. Some of it is in our, written in the stars for us in our blueprint on a soul level. Where
we can always change it.
Yeah.
Just want to,
yeah.
We'll talk about that. I'm ready. I'm ready. Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. I think this question is actually going to create the space for you to touch on that.
Yeah.
Where does somebody begin? How does somebody begin? First of all, can they change? Can they change what's written in their natal chart, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how do they start? Like, where do they begin to shift that?
Absolutely, babe. Well, first off, we have to know, and this is sort of I was actually thinking before you and I jumped on, I was like, I got to make a PSA to my gals, and I'm going to be like, stop using your astrology against yourself and stop using it as an excuse.
Oof.
It's not there for that.
Oof.
It's not there for that. That's not what it's here
Don't
for.
get me started.
I know, babe. You're Aquarius and my Aries can and I love how when you mentor me, you like don't let me F around. It's so great. But here's the thing. It's like, number one, we have to know that anything that's in the blueprint, we chose because we're here to learn and grow through these circumstances. And we are existing purely and totally through free will. We have to know that. So that's an important just reminder from like kind of the soul perspective. And I think that can be hard because when we struggle with something, a lot of our programming is that it's like a death sentence. It's like, well, and then we start saying things around our identity, which I know you are like so brilliant with this. It's like, then we start saying, well, I'm not good with money. We start saying I am statements. And then we are literally like, we're making that determination in a way that condemns
that
us.
reality.
Yeah, like we're speaking it around our identity. And I get it. Like, I love catching myself when I'm being silly and I'm just like, oh, do you hear how much fun your ego's having trying to make an identity around some sort of shortcoming when you know you can change it if you focus on it? Like, you can change it. And so the thing with the blueprint, the money blueprint, and I'm always careful to like how I talk about this only because you got to sit with it and learn it. And then you'll see there is a gold mine of possibilities, no pun intended. It's like, I'm not teaching it like you're here to make money or you're not. I can't stand when I see social media content and TikToks, like the richest signs are. Every sign is wealthy and every sign has money problems. It is not like secluded to one sign or the other. There are most billionaires are Pisces, and people try to say that Pisces are the worst with money. So we can't get binary and linear in our thinking with this stuff. We have to literally see that like these things have infinite possibility when we study our own unique blueprint. Can we change? So the answer is absolutely, absolutely yes. In addition, you got to have a system. You know, I'm really into health. I've actually really struggled with my body. I had body dysmorphia, eating disorders. Like, my journey with my body in this lifetime, I'm like, wow, this has been a lot. And recently, I've gone through a lot of changes. As you know, Marissa, a lot of huge life shifts. I lost my marriage. I lost my dad, like all within a couple months of each other. But the one thing I had control of was my health. And so I was like, you know, my world's kind of falling apart, to put it lightly. My reality right now is like falling apart. But you know what? I have my health and I have my habits. So what I learned, because I've been into financial organization since I was about 31 years old, that's when I totally turned the corner because I was like manifesting. I was doing like my Lakshmi chants. I was like vision boarding, doing all the things, but I didn't have a safe place for money to live in my life. And money wants safety. If you want money to feel safe with you, if you want money to feel safe, you need to be a safe person for it, meaning it's just like any relationship. I want to throw this in real quick, but there's a teacher, his name's Reverend Ike. He's like I think he's actually Christian money teacher from like the 60s or 70s. And they were ahead of their time because they were recording everything he spoke about. And he literally said, money is a woman and you better take care of her or she's going to run away and go be with someone else. And I kind of just love it. Obviously, he's speaking also to the times, but it's like money. What he was talking about is that money has a feminine polarity and we don't think of it that way. And we're definitely not taught it that way. We're taught that money is hyper masculine, hyper patriarchal, and that is not incorrect. But money is a myriad of polarities between the structure and the feminine receptive. And a lot of times for women, and this is something I've been working on myself, to feel safe in receptivity, which is kind of what you were bringing forward. That's the emotional, energetic side of money. But this is how I teach it. And my girls roll their eyes because they say this all the time, but it's like, there's two sides to the coin of money. So there's the practical, tactical, which is that more masculine structure, safe place. Then there's the energetic, emotional, and that's the more spiritual, in my instance, the way I teach money, astrological, but we need both sides. But for many of us, we get more comfortable in one or the other when really we need a blend. Another thing I want to add in real quickly that I think will be helpful for your babes and maybe for you, Marissa, is that I see money on a spectrum. There's the saver hoarder and there's the spender overspender, like YOLO, F it all. And I can be like that sometimes. So I had to figure out a way to go in the middle. My parents were savers, and my dad used to lovingly tout. I thought it was annoying because of being a spender that he say he was frugal. That was like his claim to fame in the fam. And I was like, well,
his badge of honor.
It's like emotionally debilitating for me. Like that made me feel like I was dying when it felt like money was being withheld. So, because I see money as connection, we all have an emotional root with money. And we can go into that in a minute. But essentially, we have to remember that money and money identity is on like a spectrum. So there's like hoarder, saver, extreme, overspender, spender, extreme. And what we want is to find a sweet, gorgeous balance right in the middle where we enjoy money, but we also care for money and care for our future. And that money is here, like, no matter what people say about the system we live in, there are so many things incorrect with it. And at the same time, there's also so much room to have what you want money to be. We can heal. We can figure out ways to make more of it. We can figure out ways to take care of what we have. So even though the system itself isn't perfect, we have so many more options with how we personally relate to it. So it's really rooted, like, we don't need to be hoarding and we don't need to be overspending and ignoring. How can we find that sweet dance in the middle where we're caring for money, but we're also living how we want to live?
Yeah. Okay. I need to find that. We need to do some work.
We're doing it. I can't wait.
Yeah. I think it is really a tough balance. And I think I love how you're saying the two sides of the coin, because it's the same way that I teach manifesting, right? And whether it's the energy of money or love, whatever it is you're trying to manifest, it's all the same. The energy of abundance and ease, right? And you need to be in detachment energy, and you need to be in that elevated frequency. And in order to do that and maintain that, you've got to have the clear subconscious piece and like healing your stories. And I loved the other day, laughing hysterically to myself when we had our chat the other day, and you said you called it the sub-C, and I was dying. I'm like, okay, I'm using that. So when we take that nasty sub-C, that backhanded sub-C, and we pair that with like these really grounded, tangible habits.
Yeah.
That's the money spot.
Yes.
No pun intended. What's one tangible thing? So aside from the energetics piece, people can come into your program. They can work with you to dive into that energetics piece, which hopefully you will go check that out, all of you that are listening. But what's one step somebody can begin to take that's really tangible, even if it's just small, asking for a friend?
He got you, boo. So I'm going to give you 3 small pieces. The first piece is going to be to track your money. Simple way to do this. So this is like, I basically teach money in the way that I needed it when I was terrified of money. Because the truth is, my family, God bless them, I love them to bits, I forgive them, but they made me scared of money. I always felt the mantra I had, the subconscious identity was, I can't handle this. And so I had to go baby steps. So go baby steps, because for some people, I don't know if your babes are like me, but when I started doing this, I was avoidant as frick with my money. Like literally, opening my bank account was like excruciatingly. It was
Dysregulating. Yeah. For
dysregulating.
your nervous
Like
system.
I'd be like, I don't
Yeah.
want to see this. I remember I had this like mantra when I was doing the row machine. This is years ago when I was getting my money together. And I said, I want to make 5K a month. I want to make 5K a month. Guess what? I already was, but I spent down to the negative every single time because I had no system. I had no way of tracking. We got to track because most of us will see we're actually doing a bit better than we think. Or if we're not, we got to look what's going on in the face and say, how can I change this? Because we can. And that's why like I love entrepreneurship and all the things that we're into. So first step, open your bank account, light a candle, make a matcha, make a coffee, have a glass of wine if you drink wine, have a kombucha, whatever you're into, and make it nice. Just be like, hey, I'm here with you. Money, bank, we're here. Open a spreadsheet, also very sexy. Color code it, make it cute. Literally start to look at just 10 transactions. And how you're going to like separate these is you're going to have money coming in, like your income, money going out, expenses. That's all I want you to look at for a minute, because what you're going to learn from this money tracking exercise is what I call cadence. You're going to see the cadence of your money. And then the next piece, and this is a little bit more involved, but it's easy and beautiful, is then we learn money management. And that's the core of what I teach. I always say, tell me what you want to do in your life. And people will be like, I want to go to Italy. I want to like have fun with my children. I want to buy a car that I like driving around. I want to live in a different city. And so I say, money management can and will make your dreams come true. That's my mantra about money management. It's multi-bank account management. It sounds very official and I feel very fancy talking about it, but it's so easy. It is so easy. And that's everything I teach in MWMM. It's just a system. You have a system to take care of your finances. Because you know what? I just went through so much change. And the reason I was able to just groovy Tuesday with it, even though I had some other really fortunate things happen, it's because I'm fucking organized. I'm really organized. Like, I'm organized. For so many of us, we're actually doing good. We just aren't organized. And the organization piece, money loves it. Money wants to feel safe. Like, think of when you walk into your bedroom. If it's chaos, you probably don't want to be in there. Unless, I don't know, maybe you like chaos. But I would say for many of us, we walk into a room and we want to feel calm. We want to feel like we can focus. We want to feel like we can connect with someone that we love in there. But if we walk in and it's just madness all over the place, we'll clean it up. That's the same with your money. Just clean it up and you're going to see that like your bed's there and wow, your nightstands are cute. Or you know what? Those nightstands are hideous. I need to get new nightstands. You got to look and see what's going on with your finances. And then you can either say, you know what, I'm actually doing okay and I can give myself some grace, or you can say, you know what, it's time to make some changes. And that's why this piece, I do EFT tapping a lot in this membership and meditation and a little hypnosis work. One of my best friends, Leo, does hypnosis. So he comes in and does that for us. But it's like, you need all these tools. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's like, we need all those tools to like soften the nervous system and create a new association to a part of our life that maybe has a lot of really gnarly emotions associated. So
yeah, what I'm hearing so strongly from you that I really gets me excited. I mean, I am that person that doesn't open my bank account. Like I know money's always coming, but I have this story that it comes like right before I need it. So it's like I get myself into that point of like, is it or isn't it? And then boom, it shows up. And so having, a long career in recruiting and, that recruiting is feast or famine. I mean, it's as, up and down as it gets. So you have this pattern. And I think what I am hearing from you that makes so much sense, given that I create sacred containers for other people to do healing work and to do that subconscious reprogramming, is with money, you need to feel held in that work. So the practical, tangible stuff is really important, but there is this other piece for women, I think, which
Yes.
is permission to feel good about money, permission to really see it as a healing journey in a way and connect it back to these beliefs, not just like, well, either this black and white explanation of I am or I'm not good with
Yeah.
money, and these like more traditional markers. So I can't wait to dive into that with you more one to one. I want to talk about some other things. So before we abandon the topic of money, where can people work with you, or what would be a good starting entry point, or do you have something that they can consume that can
Yeah.
help them on this journey?
Absolutely. I would say one of the best things you could do if you want to just get familiar with how I teach money, I have a free 3-day series. It's an astrology money series. So you got to be like rock and roll and excited to do money. It's only about 20 minutes a day for 3 days. Very bite sized, very fun. The first place is you start to get to look at your unique money blueprint through astrology. And then I also teach you either an energetic or a tactical tool. That's also just a great way to get to know not only, like I said, how I teach money, but really get you ready if you want to do the personal finance meets astrology work inside of MWMM. And that's where I teach a full 3-step system on how to just completely transform and heal your relationship to money through organization and astrology. It's the best.
Oh, love that. I'm checking it out right away.
Yes, you're going to love it.
And I want to talk about I wouldn't completely switch gears because I
Okay.
know you've been through some pretty significant shifts
Yes,
in your life
majorly.
recently.
Mhm.
And not just in your career, but your personal life. You mentioned losing your dad and your marriage ending, and, at the same time, opening up this brand new journey into mediumship and really taking your gifts and amplifying them even further.
Mhm.
And you're such a phenomenal example of evolution in the human experience. We have these really human things that we have to go through and deal with. And then we also have this spiritual journey happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I would just love to hear through this period, and you can give us as much backstory if as you want to or don't want to, but through this massive period of constriction and then expansion and loss and then abundance and this kind of like seesaw existence that you've been
Yeah.
in.
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. What is for people who are going through that, whether it's with money or it's with love or it's with their career, what is one of the biggest lessons that you have learned that you think can help other spiritual women, spiritually curious women who are going through really hard times? What's one of your biggest lessons that has contributed to your soul growth lately?
Oh God, that's a remarkable question. There have been so many moments. Like, I actually was thinking about you, Marissa, because, we are working together and it's a dream for me to be supported by someone like you who's really powerful. And I feel like you mentor me how I mentor people. And I need someone to be like,
Thank you.
rein it in, honey. Like, and just, but also be gentle with me. So I was thinking about something the other day and it made me emotional because I was like, wow, how do I feel safe when it's good? How do I feel
Oof.
safe getting everything I want? Because you know what? I'm having experiences lately that are dreams of mine, things I've wanted, but then I feel shitty. Sorry, I hope it's okay I cuss because I'm
Of course.
scared of what it means. And I'm
Mhm.
I'm working with the part of me who has been so used to the suffering because you know what? I had moments in the last 6 months of my life where I was on the floor, like asking God universe, what in the actual fuck was happening? Like,
Yeah.
just, it's been debilitating. But the funny thing is, I know how to navigate stuff like that. That's been a lot of my life. So now moving into a place where things are easier and I'm getting what I want. and then feeling kind of shitty about it is so fun. I think it's honestly having a little laugh at ourselves because I guess
Yeah.
everyone lands on a different point of that spectrum. Some people might be like, you know what? My negativity bias is in check. I feel actually great when good things happen, and I do too. But I have to tell you, going through the things I've gone through recently, especially saying goodbye to my dad, which was shocking. And for anyone who has lost someone, which we all have, or you've had to say goodbye to a parent. I mean,
Mm.
that was my worst fear. It's my worst fear realized. I always was afraid of losing my dad because my daddy is my best friend. It's funny, he's my best friend, but it's not like we had a very bestie relationship because we were so different, but I loved him more than
Mm.
life itself. So but it's interesting because I am very esoteric and I'm very, being a medium has taught me a lot about the other side and taught me a lot about the intelligence of the soul, especially when it isn't here. We have
Yeah.
soul intelligence while we're here, of course, but we mostly have egos that we're traversing and figuring out and integrating with. So, I mean, I have to say, since my dad has been gone, and for anyone who fears loss, maybe like I did, I still do for the most part, but it's like you really witness that you're guided and they can help you more when they're gone. Because my dad has brought me that message, and many people brought me that message. Like, if he left, he can do more for you. And the truth is, he has. And I'm very connected to him. But I think what I'll say, just to sum up the lesson, is like surrender is the ultimate gift. And how safe can you feel with getting what you want? Because a lot of times, and I know you and I talked about this the other day, like self-sabotage, I'm so familiar with my flavor of it. I'm like, oh, cute, cute. That's cute that you want to self-sabotage that because it's unfamiliar. They say we'll stick to a familiar hell versus an unfamiliar heaven. And I'm so familiar with that part of myself that just is like, this is cute for now, but like just wait till it gets normal again, and working with that part of me. And so for anyone who is like in our deep spot, know that it's actually taking you to where you want. And like I was saying a bit about the money, it's like you got to remember that the things that ail you like really get your goat. And you're just like, why is this my cross to bear in this life? Like, get your goat. It's like you have to literally remember that, like, it's yours for a reason. It's not to take you down. It's to make you rise to your potential. Because for me,
Yeah.
like relationships and money, I remember one day in my old Los Angeles apartment, this is probably 10 years ago at this point, I was stretching and I was caught up on some dude and I probably had $25 in my bank account. And I remember doing like a stretching pose or something in my living room. And I remember being like, all of a sudden, it's like my soul perspective came in. And I started laughing so hard because I was like, when I figure this out, I'm going to tell everybody. When I figure out love and money, I'm going to tell everybody. And my
Mm.
soul was like joyously laughing through me at how ridiculous I can be and how obsessed with my limitations I can be and how addicted to smallness. And so I say that with gentleness for anyone, especially who's maybe in a rough moment. But maybe if you can, just for a moment, let the levity of your spirit come through and be like, I signed up for this, even though it's hard.
Huh?
And there's something here for me. And I know I can't speak to every situation because if that feels too much to take on in a moment, don't take it on right now. But when you're ready
Yeah.
and if it feels resonant, you got to know that your challenges are there to help you ascend into your potential and who you truly are. Because pressure, diamonds are made through pressure.
So good.
Truly.
Yeah, and I don't know if you find this, but I'm sure you do. I think when you've had success, you've reached a certain level, there's a part of you before that success, before that fulfillment, before that
Mhm.
those accolades that feels like, well, once I get it, and I know this is true for me, having built a multi six-figure recruiting agency on my own.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, well, I can do that even bigger with the same level of ease, right? Like if you've done it once, you can do it again and again and again the same way. Like without, it should just be easy if you reach that level once.
Mhm.
And what I have found is that the bigger the up level,
Mhm.
the deeper the inner stuff that you have to
Yes.
surface
Mhm.
and work through. And with my coaching business, it's completely different. And with my recruiting business, I never did any marketing. I literally just only referral business. I've never done a single thing except do good work and have a good reputation in a really niche industry. And then
Yes.
showing up online and creating something, completely different in online business is a whole other animal. And
Yes.
it's such a confronting process as an entrepreneur because it really shows you that, my coaching business, every time I want to grow, yes, there are practical things I have to do. Yes, there are tangible systems, just like money. But at the end of the day, I have to grow. I have to
Yes.
dig even deeper to, okay, what next level is there that I haven't even seen yet, that I haven't met?
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, I think Francesca's last name is Ripna, maybe
Okay.
the amazing woman who did the breath work at
Sitma. Sitma.
Expanders.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
her last name?
Sitma.
Sitma?
Sitma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think of her Francesca Mastery. I'm obsessed with her
Yeah.
app. And I
Yeah.
just remember her doing a podcast with Lindsay Schwartz. And she said, if you want to be successful, you got to heal. And I just
Mhm.
couldn't, I really couldn't agree more because the reason why a lot of us, myself included, will we just stop and start is just because we don't feel worthy to receive and we don't feel worthy to have the experience. And that's something that I'm very present with myself around, where I'm just like, okay, I love that part of you that doesn't feel worthy to have the ease or is addicted to the thing that you've known. And it's not about, as an Aries, I can be very intense with myself
Yeah.
but I'm also gentle because I know that this is just like, it's like talking to a little girl. Like she just doesn't know yet, but she's figuring it out. And like, I'm here to guide her. And so I think we all could do a little better with like helping ourselves heal in that way and helping ourselves be like, you know what, if I haven't figured this out yet, whether it's with money or relationships or my kids or my body and my health, like there's just something that you haven't learned yet. And most of all,
Yeah.
there's just something you haven't healed yet. And I was telling my nutritionist the other day, she's worked with me off and on for years since 2021. And I finally freaking got what she was trying to teach me. But I had to heal some trauma. I had to heal the part of me that was afraid of looking a certain way because of how things that happened from my early childhood. So it's like when we heal, I always say healing is its own reward. It really is. And I think sometimes
Ugh,
if we see it as
good.
that, when we see healing, like I know it sounds maybe a little transactional, like, oh, I'm going to heal, I'm going to get a reward. You can't look at it that way, but it's like you have to know that that is how it works. Like healing is its own reward and it's hard to heal. It's hard because it's scary because your ego is going to hang on for dear life. So, I know I'm preaching the choir here, but this is really what I've witnessed in my own process. And it's not till I heal. That's why when I teach money, second house, eighth house, the eighth house is all your sticky money crap. And it's a house of healing and transformation and transmutation. It's still a money house. Like, how intelligent is astrology? It blows my mind, And then the second house is like where you make money, how you make money, the tools of money, the money you create in your life. So everybody has a seen side of money with themselves and an unseen side of money. And that's
Yeah.
huge to figure out. So
Yeah.
yeah, healing is at the core of all of it, truly.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting the definition of healed, right? Or healing. I certainly went through a period after my divorce where I felt like I had to be healed. Like it was the
Yeah.
perfectionist in me that was,
Yes,
oh,
totally.
I've got to like heal myself before whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. And as
Yeah.
you and
There's
I
a
have
little
talked about,
self-sabotage, little jiggle in there.
yeah, yeah. And like we've talked about, the correction really happens in connection with other people. And I think that that's true with anything, but I don't really truly believe that we ever fully heal. I just think that what we do is we just become conscious of
Yes.
where we give our power away to different
Yes. Love
beliefs.
that. Yes, I love
And then we just, if we can see it consciously instead of it just like lurking in our subconscious mind, then we can actually, we can work with it and we can argue with it
Yes.
consciously,
Yes.
or we can make a decision whether we're going to just like let it go or we're going to cling on to it and let it,
Mhm.
rule our lives. So I'm glad that you brought that up. There was something else that I was going to ask you and it just went out of my head. But you mentioned free will,
Mhm.
and I want to come back around to something you said earlier. And I know one of my clients, maybe more, is gonna feel attacked by
Oh, great.
she's
I'm
gonna know
so
exactly what I'm
excited.
talking to.
Okay.
She's gonna feel attacked by this question, but
Okay.
jokingly, of course. Some of my clients I have seen in
Mhm.
instances take astrology readings, and I'm guilty of this too. I
Mhm.
have to check myself constantly.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like they dive into the world of spirituality, they dive into readings, they dive into healings, and they receive a lot of intuitive information or chart readings and human design, whatever it is, right? Whatever the tool is.
Yes.
And they can kind of take it as it is what it is,
Uh-huh.
or like very definitive. They put a very definitive energy on it.
Mhm.
So, how should somebody who is maybe new to readings or to astrology or tarot cards, even, how should they use that information?
Mhm.
How should they integrate that in a way that doesn't then become limiting in and of itself?
Love. When you say definitive, just so I understand, what do you mean by that?
Like you said, I think the words you used before was like it becoming an excuse or
Yes.
a
Yes. You
forget the
kind of
other
give
words you
your
said.
power away.
Yeah, like oh well, I'm an Enneagram 7, which I am. Like oh that's well, I'm just an Enneagram 7 instead of like looking deeper at what else might be there, or
Yes.
saying, well, I can't do that because I'm an Enneagram 7 or
Ooh,
because I'm an
thank you.
Aquarius.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, nothing gets my goat more. I love how before we even started this conversation, I literally that perhaps my guides like dropped that in. They were like, you got to make this
Yeah.
video because I think it's
This
something
is
that I'm
real for
guilty
you.
of myself too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like it definitely comes up. But the key to utilize the tool is self-awareness. We have to understand that when we give our power away to like, oh, well, I'm just this way, or my chart says that I have this detriment, or da 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 da. And that's why I get a little frustrated sometimes, but my frustration just gives way to me contributing to what I want to see. So instead of being angry about it, I'm just like,
That's
no,
good.
I'm just going to teach and guide in the way that I want. And that's how I've had the deep, beautiful opportunity of growing a community for so many years because I just want to contribute. I want to contribute the conversation of empowerment to these tools because we have to remember you always have to consider the source, not just consider the source, like consider your source and understand you're fucking powerful. But also, when you get a reading, know that that's coming from a human. Even when you get a reading from me, it's coming from a human being. But my deepest responsibility as a practitioner is to empower you and to help you make choices and to trust and feel into your body, to your awareness. Where does this land for you? I ask questions a lot because I want to say, how is this landing or is it not? And what's coming through for you? And the reason why I think that's so important with these tools, astrology especially, or human design or whatever, is because we want to utilize these things to help us become more self-aware and more self-actualized, but not to get lost in the damn sauce with it. Otherwise, what's the point? Right? Like, what is the point of understanding that you're an Aquarius sun if all you're focused on is some disempowering aspect that someone or something told you about that? It's just like we utilize these things to understand ourselves better. And I always like to say that astrology is a tool of compassion. You have compassion for yourself. You know, when I started studying aspects in astrology, which is a whole geeky subject, maybe we'll talk about another time, I was like, damn, these are tough. I was like, everybody's having aspects. It really reminded me because I remember I was having a lot of trouble with a friendship at the time, and she was just so tough for me to navigate. And I was like, well, this girl's probably got some crazy aspects. So I looked at her aspects, and like, lo and behold, her aspects were really tough. And those are not death sentences. That's just energy running through your life. And some energy is easy and some energy is freaking hard. So let us be compassionate with ourselves, with the things that we're stuck on. And then let us also see if we can be a bit compassionate with other people. Like if you have a best friend who's a Cancer and you know that Cancerians are sensitive and they're ruled by the moon and their ruling planet changes every 2.5 days, give them a little moment. Like they're porous with that watery energy and their ruling planet changes signs every freaking day. You would be moody too. So it's like it's like being gracious, a little more gracious, a little more aware, setting boundaries as you need to, communicating, holding your sovereignty, but just like stop giving your power away. Stop being afraid of how powerful you are. And I think as an Aries, and this is something I've had to embrace, like I had to go away for a couple of years because I had personal stuff to deal with. I was terrified of being seen. And then now it's like I'm back and I've gone through so much in a short amount of time. And I'm here to be in this very Aries expression, which is like to lovingly push you and to lovingly initiate and lead you. And not everybody wants to be initiated and led. And I have to be okay with that. But I'm always going to do it with gentleness because I got Pisces energy in my chart. I'm going to be gentle, but I'm going to be fierce because when you have the opportunity for someone to be lovingly honest with you, I love when people are like, oh, I'm just honest, but really they're fucking rude. No, that's not doing anything for anyone. That's called you need to regulate a little healthier and then communicate. And so where can we find that sweet spot of honoring the people in our lives, whether it's mentors, parents, friends, children, where like literally they're there to be honest with you, also in a way that respects who you are. And that I think is a tool that can transform humanity. I think it could transform how we function with each other. If we could just find a way to be lovingly honest with ourselves and each other. You don't need to be an asshole, but you don't need to be passive. It's like, can you find that sweet spot? And that's why, like, that's what I feel my work is. It's like, because when women are in my space or I'm mentoring them, whether in MWMM or in my work, like, I'm here to be honest. That's why I love you as my mentor, because you're freaking honest, but you still respect me as a person. And that's the sweet spot I think not many of us have gotten in our lives, and we stay a little stuck because we're afraid to not be perfect. So I don't know how I got on that little tangy poo, but those are my thoughts.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you bringing your thoughts, your wisdom, your power, your tools, and just
Got
your
my red
energy
shirt on
here.
today. I feel like you just in a mode.
Yeah, I love that for you. You are in your power. Isn't a color is a whole other thing that we'll have to talk about another time.
Oh, my
I'm gonna have
face.
to find somebody, whoever is listening. I want somebody to come on here and talk to me about the energy of color because
Oh, yeah.
I used to love
that.
really like blacks and reds, and red used to be my favorite color, but I don't know, my wardrobe is all very neutral these days. It's got to
That's
be saying
funny.
something about me.
On the floor to my left, I literally ordered a pack of quilt sheets because I'm going to color drape myself and just start to figure out what are like the core colors I want to buy. Because I love, as I mentioned at the beginning, I love clothes and I love getting dressed. So it's like, but one of my best friends is a Virgo and she's just like, you need to find like 5 colors you like and just buy in those colors. So I'm going to find my colors with these quilt sheets. So catch me
Then you
doing
can send
that
them
on
to
a
me.
weekend.
Yeah. Send it to me and I'll do it too when you're done.
I love it.
It's such a pleasure. I love you so
Oh,
much.
such great. I love you too.
So grateful. So many good takeaways. And I just want to leave listeners with that piece at the end about really just having self-compassion, because I really think it all starts with self-compassion and compassion for the world. So thank you for being here and for gracing us with your energy.
Thank you.